Good morning. Today, let us continue with Edison as a critic of contemporary society and Edison as a social reformer. As I told yesterday, as we have discussed yesterday, that in his periodicals, Tatler and the other one, The Spectator, Edison and Steele have emphasized upon the manners and morals of the society which should be maintained. Here we begin. In order to fully appreciate the achievements of Edison and Steele as social reformers, one has to keep in mind the conflicts and tensions of the society which they wrote in. There was a tension between the rural and urban societies. There was a tension between the Puritan element of society and the country upper strata of society, which followed the Restoration tradition of looseness of thinking and living. Besides these, there were the politics and the civic tensions at the time. The Puritans were opposed to all kinds of amusement and considered refinement and culture synonymous with vice. The Restoration tradition, Restoration age to which Edison and Steele belongs. You will be reading Restoration poets in your paper 1, where Pope and Dryden are the famous poets of Restoration era. The Restoration tradition used its wit and keen sense of humor against morality and virtue. There was, as Macaulay remarks, a disastrous separation between wit and virtue. Wit had been led astray by profligacy and morality was associated with dullness. One section of society was licentious and the other is fantastical. It was against this atmosphere that Steele and Edison set out to write, and the aim was a courageous one. Edison bravely set out to temper wit with morality and enliven morality with wit. This combination of wit and virtue was being done for the first time. He managed to achieve success, which speaks of his ability and his role as a conciliator and negotiator. He is justly called a great conciliator and mediator between town and country, between landed gentry and prosperous citizen. He set out to restore sanity, to reconcile hostile elements of the society, organize and mold public opinion because he has used the periodicals as his instruments to generate public awareness about his views on the manners and morals of society. So here I again go back to mold public opinion and inculcate in the public a good sense of judgment and taste, that is, with the purpose of refinement of the manners of society. He advocated moderation in all fields and tried to bring out the best from the opposing factors of restoration, looseness and refinement on one hand and the Puritan morality on the other. He combined the refinement of the former and gaiety and polish with the virtue and moral sense of the latter. He left out the looseness of the former and the gloom of the latter. He dissipated the prejudices that had associated vice with gaiety and easy manners with laxity. He restored virtue to dignity, as Johnson remarks. Edison claimed to be a spectator or an onlooker, that is, an observer who merely saw life being lived without taking part in it. It is as an observer that Edison makes the comment in his essays. He perceives the absurdities of dress, the eccentricities of people, and ridicules them in his essay. He sees the follies and foibles of people and criticizes the silly, whistling contests which are spreading in the streets of London. He makes satiric comments on pedantics and egotics. In fact, spectators' eyes are grave but with a twinkle in them as he observes and comments upon the world and its follies and foibles. He is a cool observer and comments impartially. Without there is a satire there, but there is no intention on his part to hurt anyone. He is careful in his delineation. But Edison was not satisfied with what he saw. His naturally good taste was offended by what went on in the world. He was unhappy at the artificiality, lack of good sense and taste, the ignorance and the bad manners of the people around him. He was prompted to mend the ways of the world. to develop good taste and manners, to strip the mask of vice and folly so that people would discard them. He was an avowed social reformer. He aimed to be a censor, though a mild one, the morals and manners of the contemporary society. His essays deal with a variety of subjects, and we notice that most of them deal with topical manners. Manners and matters like fashions, foibles of dress, gambling, swearing manners, indecency in conversation, practical jokes, cruelty, etc., etc. Let me move a bit. And yes, he set out to point out the trivial vices and follies of society, those vices which in his words are, I quote here, and you can make a note of these quotes also in your answers, and then you can support these with your own judgment and the quotation from the text which is relevant to support the argument of Edison. I begin here again. In his own words, he says that the vices and follies of society are too trivial for the chastisement of the law and too fantastical for the cognizance of the pulpit. So he is neither in the role of a lawyer nor in the role of a pedantic preacher. He is simply one among the people of the society, commenting and asking them in a very light-hearted and humorous manner to improve their attitudes towards the vices and the foibles. Elsewhere he says that the great and only end of these speculations is to banish vice and ignorance out of the territories of Great Britain. But all the which he would combine this moral and instructive aim with the aim of giving pleasures and entertainment. Edison said that he brought philosophy out of the closets and colleges of the coffee houses and clubs, and he took it to the coffee houses and clubs and tea tables. In other words, he wanted to improve the tastes of the society. He wanted to improve the standards of the society's thinking capacity. He wanted the plans of society to know something that would enable them to converse originally and intelligently. He aimed at the inculcation of good taste in all fields by recommending a general simplicity in the manners and behaviorism, recommending indeed that one should be very careful in his discourse and in his behavior. He was indeed an archbishop of good taste, who put his finger unerringly but always gently on the foibles of society. So he satirizes, but he never hurts. Edison combined the roles of a teacher and a moralist on the one hand and critic and satirist on the other. As a moralist and a teacher, he would acquaint the common man with truths and philosophy in elegant and simple language, and also amuse the reader with interesting literary devices such as allegory and allusions and anecdotes. As a satirist, he would hold up the follies and foibles and ridicule them so that the readers, seeing their absurdities, would leave off indulging in them. Spectator that he was, with a desire to reform the society, he has presented in his essays a vivid picture of the society of the times. He intended to reform the people by holding up a picture of that society and by ridiculing its follies and vices. They are the best pictures we possess of the new social life of England with its many new interests. This picture of society that is offered by the spectator is closely linked with the intention of the author. Edison desired to effect a social reform by showing general picture of existing follies and foibles in various respects of life and society and ridiculing these. The most important fact about Edison as a painter and critic of contemporary society is that he makes all vices and follies equally ridiculous. And to sum up our note, We can say that he attacks follies in a milder manner and holds them up to ridicule in keeping with the intentions of using wit to laugh mankind out of folly and vices. Thank you very much.